Wow, it looks like Joe Rogan could possibly be having the massive podcast with Donald Trump. This does seem to be a little bit of clickbait here when you look at this tweet. Joe Rogan says he is open to having Donald Trump on the podcast. Now, when Rogan talks about it, you can tell he's still really hesitant. And a lot of this, in my opinion, has to do with if Rogan has Trump on, he immediately gets linked to the whole MAGA movement, the culture. He really wants to steer clear of that. But Rogan, I mean, he keeps going more and more right-wing by the day. And now it does look like, just like what I said would happen, Rogan is going to say, look, whoever the Republican nominee, the Democratic nominee, whether it's Newsom, Biden, we know about the debate happening between DeSantis and Newsom. It makes perfect sense. And I'm happy that DeSantis is doing it. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense for Newsom unless he really is running. Why would you debate someone when there's no election coming up? It's pretty crazy. I think Newsom will be taking over for Biden unless it's Trump. And I heard Vivek Ramaswamy talk about this. If it is Trump, I still think they're going to stick with Biden. If it's someone else on the Republican side, I do think they will go with Newsom. Biden might be such a detriment at this point with his horrible approval rating. They might just have to replace him anyways. But yes, I think Rogan, once the primaries are over and it's whoever the matchup is, whether it's Biden, Trump, Newsom, DeSantis, whoever it is, he's going to have an open invitation to both candidates to come on the podcast, and that's how that whole thing is going to happen. But it was weird because Patrick Bet-David is the person he had on, and it was a super political podcast, and it seemed like Bet-David was really prying at Rogan to have Trump on, and he even said, you're helping the establishment by not having Trump on, which he's 100% right. That's exactly what's going on. And it's a thing with Rogan where he doesn't want to come off as this Trump supporter, and he knows if he had Trump on, it would make Trump look better. The questions that he would ask him gain perspective, make Trump seem normal and really humanize him. He knows it's going to help Trump in terms of his approval rating. That's why I think he's saying, I'll make it an even and open invite. If the Democratic nominee is Newsom, I do think Newsom would definitely do the podcast with Rogan. If it's Biden, Biden just mentally cannot do it. There's no way he could talk for an hour, let alone 3 hours. It's just not happening. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. How about Megan Rapinoe, who, by the way, this just disgusting. What is with these people? So this woman is completely anti-American, completely racist against white people. She was bullying people on her team, according to reports, to kneel for the anthem and disrespect the country. And she and the women's team, oh, they must have lost last night, huh? That's so bad. She's crying tears of joy because the United States loses and she hates the country. Of course, I'm kidding, but it is weird. And then you've got the whole thing with all of the women coming out saying we need equal pay. They don't know how a capitalist society works. It has nothing to do with how good your results are. It all has to do with how much the advertisers are willing to pay, you know, during your games. And the U.S. women's team has significantly less viewers than the males team. That's what it comes down to, and then they blame it on sexism. No, it's just market value, and you really don't understand. It's really sad. And then we do have a small store owner. So this was something that came out yesterday. The small store owner during those riots with all of those, you know, the Twitch streamer, all the kids going out there, reminds me of the BLM riots. We've got, you know, this worker who just got completely ransacked. He got assaulted. All the thug kids come out and assault him. And then a millionaire socialist streamer, sounds like an oxymoron. If you're a socialist, man, you know, why do you need $1 million, bro? You need to give up. Listen, if you're a socialist, how can you be a millionaire? That doesn't make any sense. Why do you need $1 million, bro? You should give some of that up, man. There's people, homeless people, bro. There's homeless people. You need $1 million? Dude, you could live off of 50K. You got to give that, we need affordable housing. You give that money up. But a socialist streamer who's also a millionaire tries to tone it down. It's just a $3 bag of Doritos. Why are they all reporting on this? That was coming after they were interviewing the guy who got assaulted by all the young kids who inevitably will all grow up to be, of course, Democratic voters. That's how bad it's gotten. You've got millionaire socialists, an immigrant who's just trying to set up a stand and sell things. He gets assaulted by a bunch of young kids who are very likely going to turn out to be Democrats. And all of these Democrat socialist people, they defend it. They say, oh, they're just dancing. They're just having fun. Meanwhile, they call January 6th, say it's worse than 9/11. January 6th had about $2.7 million in property damage. Compare that to the BLM riots. They had $2 billion. That's $2 million versus $2 billion. But we all focus on the January 6th thing, even though it's confirmed it was orchestrated and coerced by FBI actors. Amazing. Simply amazing. A millionaire socialist, yeah. And then this is just so sad. Film the robots in LA, please. So guys, they've been doing this now where they have these robots deliver your food, and because it's LA, because it's such a shithole, these things are getting, honestly, like sexually assaulted. And honestly, it does make you feel bad for the robots. If you're setting one of these things up in San Francisco, like I can only imagine, let's say there's all these robots and they're all made in a factory just somewhere random in the middle of the country. And then they all get shipped off to different places. Imagine if the robot had like emotions and one of the robots gets shipped off to San Francisco. Oh, you're screwed. You're screwed if you go to New York City. And then, oh my goodness. So we've got a NASCAR driver. And you would think NASCAR, you know, it's definitely a more Republican type thing. But how about this? Suspended. So a NASCAR driver got suspended indefinitely. And you would think, okay, it has to do with social media. He posted something that, you know, it is what it is. No. He was suspended indefinitely for liking a George Floyd meme. Liking. He didn't post it. He liked it. And they suspended him indefinitely. This is the one thing I was thinking about with the social credit score. We technically do have a version of the social credit score in America when you look at all of these major corporations, Google, YouTube. Remember back in 2021, if you said anything that was not government narrative about the pandemic, you could not speak freely. And isn't it interesting now it's come out? We all know about the crazy collusion that's involved with the FBI and the government and the censorship right before the 2020 election. Really, we should have freedom of speech on the internet because the government is impacting what we see. It becomes kind of a right in the argument that a lot of these liberal people want to make, and that's why they've really revved up disinformation, misinformation. You've got 70% Democrats admitting, yes, we want people censored. It's gotten out of control, but the idea is if the government is impacting all of these social media companies, shouldn't we, because the government is involved, have free speech on the internet to a degree? That's the whole argument. Oh, they're all private companies. I love when they use that argument because now, with Elon Musk taking over, I have not heard it a single time. Dude, the dark ages in 2020 and 2021, how many times would you say, oh my God, people are being censored, this is un-American, and what is the response to that? They're a private company, they can do whatever they want, and Musk shut them all up. And now they're all pissed off about it. They all tried going to Threads. Threads, of course, is a complete failure. I said it was going to be. They're reporting that they lost 80% of their users within a month span. And even liberals now have to admit that Threads was extremely rushed. There's nothing to it. And it has become a complete cesspool. You can't even interact with a lot of it just because the interface is so hard to use. But guys, the big news today, it looks like Rogan is finally going to have Trump on at some point. I would imagine, listen, I believe Trump can come back to Twitter, and you would think he would. You know, it seems, I don't know what the deal is with Truth Social. I know he's on Truth Social. People were saying that he was threatening. He said something like, if you come after me, I'll come after you. So we'll have to see what happens there. And then DeSantis and Newsom debating as well. you would expect, I mean, you would hope that DeSantis would destroy him in a debate, considering the two states faced off during the pandemic and DeSantis absolutely annihilated Newsom. California lost population for the first time in forever, and Florida, like the second fastest growing state because everyone wants to move there. You would think DeSantis would annihilate him. I don't understand. If I was Newsom, I would not want to face DeSantis in a debate. I already got destroyed when I faced off against him during the pandemic. You would think he doesn't have much of a leg to stand on, but maybe DeSantis is a bad debater. I know Newsom people have been talking about they're impressed by him. We'll have to see what happens there. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.